In this video, we'll be looking at some generators we can use on splines so that we can render them. We'll be looking at the extrude generator, the lathe generator, the loft generator, and the sweep generator. We will also be looking at the new vector import tool in Cinema 4D R25. Now, all the generators are located here. This is the subdivision surface. That's the default generator in Cinema 4D. When you click and hold on it, it will reveal all the other generators you can use. And then today we'll be talking about the extrude generator, the lathe generator, the loft generator, and the sweep generator. And later on, we will take a look at the new vector import tool. So let's create a spline. I want to create a star. Here. Okay. When you come to the attribute manager, we can actually manipulate the size of it. And I want to have 5 points because mostly stars have 5 points. Okay. Now with this star, if you want to render it, because right now when you render, nothing shows because it's a spline. Okay, we go into the generators and add an extrude generator. Now this extrude generator, we need to put this star inside this extrude generator for it to affect it. So we click and hold on the star, we drag it inside. Notice when you are putting an object inside an object or making an object a child of an object, you see that there's this arrow pointing down beside the mouse icon. Okay, when it's pointing down, that means you can actually put the object inside or make it a child of it. But if it's pointing on the left, that means you are rearranging it. You are putting the star on top of the extrude. That is not what you want. You want to put the star inside the extrude generator. So when you put inside, you see now the star has been extruded. We can change the parameters of the extrusion by selecting the extrude and changing it here. The offset is the depth that you want to extrude your object. Okay, and then subdivisions. You see when I'm increasing it, my object is being subdivided. It's adding more points to the object. And then we have the flip normals, and then this is the hierarchical. The hierarchical simply means that let's duplicate this star, holding control and dragging it down. Let's put it also inside. Now with this star, let's bring it here. You see, the star is inside the extrude generator, but it's not affecting it. By default, the extrude generator only affects a single spline. In order for the extrude generator to affect multiple splines, you select the extrude generator and you come here where we have the hierarchical, and then when you check it, it will affect all the splines inside. So that is what the hierarchical is for. And then when you have the extrude, there's also something called the caps. That is the roundings on the edges of an object. But now the size is 0, but if you increase the size, you see we have roundings on it. Let's display the shading so that you see. Now you have the roundings on the object. This is basically the extrude generator. This is what it's used for. It's used for extruding splines. The lathe generator. So same as the extrusion, you go under the subdivision surface, click and hold it, and it will reveal the generators. So we take a look at the lathe generator. We need a spline so that this lathe generator will work. So let's create maybe this spline. I want to put it in the ZY axis. It's too big, so let's make it maybe this. And then by default, the lathe generator uses a center point of 0, 0. Okay, which means 0 on the x-axis, 0 on the y-axis, and 0 on the z-axis. So in order to use the lathe object, the objects that you want to lathe, it shouldn't be on the 0, 0 axis. So let's push this object around in maybe the x-axis right now. And let's rotate it so that we have some depth to it, because the lathe objects lathe in a circular form. So if the object is straight, it will lathe it all right, but you won't have depth. So let's make it like this, and let's put the rectangle inside the lathe object. Now you see what it creates. Okay, because the lathe object, it's like the extrude object, but this one extrudes it in a circular form. So we're going to come to the attribute manager. Under the object tab, there's this angle. You see the way it does the extrusion, it does it in a circular form. Okay, so that is what the lathe generator is used for. Another generator called the loft. Now the loft generator is used to extruding upwards based on the splines that you have inside. So let's create an inside spline. It's really huge, and put it in the XZ axis so that it faces up. Now let's scale it. I think it's too big. Yes. This by default, this parametric spline, when you put it inside a loft object, this is what it creates. So the loft object or the loft generator needs more splines to build up. So let's duplicate this spline by holding Control and dragging it down. Now we have another duplication of this spline. Now let's put it inside the loft. Okay, again, now it's there. If we change the position of this inside spline, let's move it up. You see that it's doing some sort of extrusion. The loft generator generates a connection between the first and the last spline. Okay, we can add multiple splines. Let's say we have a circle. Let's put those also into the XY axis. It's too big, so let's decrease this one and add it under, and then we move it up. You see, it's creating or extruding the splines based on the shapes. So that is what the loft is for. We can still continue to extrude it. Let's create another circle and make this maybe a bigger one and move the spline a little bit up. Okay, so now you see the more we go, the more it creates. Okay, it creates. Let's create another one and maybe move it up a little bit and increase the size of it. Another one. See, remember, I'm holding Control and dragging it down to make duplications. Okay, so bring it inside. Okay, bring it inside and make another duplication. Take it down to create that depth and scale it inside like this. Okay, now that's what the loft generator is used for. When you hide the loft generator, you see what it's using. It's using those splines and lofting around them. So it will start from here to the next spline, to the next spline, to the next spline, to the next spline. Now with the loft generator, the position of the spline matters. Okay, so let's say this circle, I move it somewhere here. You see the way it is? You see the shape has changed? Yes, because with the loft spline, it takes the position because it lofts from the down to the next, 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 to the next. So with the loft, the hierarchy of the object matters, because if you change the hierarchy of it, like it deforms the whole thing. Okay, so that is what the loft generator is for. Take a look at the sweep generator. Now what the sweep generator actually does is it sweeps a spline along another spline. Okay, it sweeps a spline along another spline. Let's demonstrate it. So let's take the spline pen tool. Let's create a curved spline like this. Okay, now let's take let's create another spline object. Let's create a circle. It's big, so let's make it small, like maybe 22. And then we put it in, we put both the subject inside the spline, the sweep. So we put a spline inside and we put the circle at the top. Now remember, you always put the spline you are sweeping along the path at the beginning. If you change this, you see the way it's happening is now sweeping the spline around along the path of the circle, but that's not what we want. You want to sweep the circle along the path of the spline we created with the spline pen. So the sweep, this is what the sweep simply does. It sweeps a spline along the path of another spline. Okay, this is it. Let's create another example. So I will show you. Let's delete these two splines and let's create a helix. Okay, we have a helix. This is a helix. Let's create another object that we can sweep it. Let's create a flower. Okay, then we want to sweep this flower along the path of this helix. So let's decrease the size of the flower. It's too big because I don't want to have okay, I think this is okay. So this is the helix. We want to sweep the flower. So you see the flower is now swept along the path of the helix spline. Okay, so that is what the sweep generator is used for. Now the next tool we are going to take a look is the new vector import tool that Cinema 4D R25 introduces. It's also inside the generator, so you click and hold on the subdivision surface icon. It will reveal all the generators, and you come here. This is the vector import. So you click the vector import. Nothing will show in your viewport because there's nothing in it. When you come to the attributes manager, under the object tab, there's a place where you can choose file. So we have this Adobe Illustrator vector logo file. It's just a rough logo here. Okay, now you want to bring this into Cinema 4D. So we go back to Cinema 4D and then selected the vector import. We come to the file under the object tab. You click browse, then you locate where the spline is. The moment you locate it, it imports the spline into your viewport and do the extrusion for you. Yes. Now this is the new tool. They call the vector import tool. Okay, so with object you can actually change the offset, the path spread, and everything. So if I change the offset, see it moves. This path speed, it actually randomizes the offset of each single path. And we have the extrude depth. This will give you the depth of the extrusion that you want. Okay, there are other settings that you can go into to play with to see what it does to your object, but this is the vector import tool in Cinema 4D. Thank you and see you in the next video.